Now, as most of you know, my mother passed away last year. And a lot of old photos have turned up, letters that I wrote to her from boarding school, etc., school reports, things that she kept, surprisingly enough. We never knew. Now, one thing turned up, which I was quite surprised about. It's in this old Qantas zip-up suitcase, some of you might remember. I didn't expect this. Along with these little guys at the back here. I don't know if you can see that properly on the camera. It was my Action Man set. But what's interesting is the way that my mother secretly, lovingly kept it all. I don't know how many times we've moved house in the 50 years since these were bought, literally 50 years. We moved house a lot of times, downsized, we had various different ups and downs. The Action Men were lovingly kept. Some people believe that the child, the things you want to do when you're 7 is what influences your later life. I think there's something in that. There's no, you don't need to be Freud to work out what I wanted to be when I was 7, although I don't even remember having a guardsman, but I obviously did. You're looking a bit worse for wear, but that's all right. He's had a big night, Chelsea. And look at this guy, British officer with a, I don't know if you can see it, he's Sam Brown, lovingly fit together. He's even got a little tie. In fact, he even has little socks, which I haven't bothered to put on. I don't put my own socks on, but British officer was the only Action Man that got socks. I had a, he was our gardener, and we were quite spoilt, and he built me a kind of headquarters building, I guess, for the Action Men. And we had a map. He got a map which he stuck up on the wall, and British officer here, not sure what his name was, Quinton, he would give the orders. Yes, okay. And he had the guardsmen. He had some, of course we had the enemy, complete with boots and stick grenade. Not a bad little outfit. We had good old Tommy Soldier with his beard. He didn't like discipline. No. Wasn't going to take orders from anybody. And he had a very nice little, looks like it was a handmade suit. Corporal. I think this guy was the French resistance. He went around in his little inflatable boat, which has gone missing. Anyway, he had an inflatable boat. He would do various commando tasks. And the grease gun. I think he probably used the grease gun. A few other randoms. I think he was Aussie bloke. Oh, I'm not going to take orders from no palms. Aussie guy. In his faded desert stuff. And his, not quite a slouch hat, but I guess in the Rat of Trebrook, it's called. A few more randoms. I seem to have a bomb victim. I'm not sure what happened to him. He's lost his limbs, but I guess he had an element of realism. Scuba tanks. Another stick grenade. He must have had 2 British Tommies. This one's in these on his day off. Maybe he's a Rat of Trebrook as well. Surprisingly enough, they had all beards. And I think this guy was at a place. He was like safari guy, undercover. I'm not very sure why safari guy made it, but there you go. Terrific. These two are my favourites. Guardsman. And where are you? British officer. There we go. With his socks. Very good. It's funny how things turned out. I didn't expect to end up in the British Army. At least not in my teenage years. But those early influences, I guess, stay with you. And it's funny, it never occurred to me that you wouldn't do the right thing as an officer. And while the war was a difficult business and a lot of tough things happened, there was no doubt in my mind it was about doing the right thing and standing up for what is right. Some people must have had different upbringings. Admittedly, I was very privileged. I was never trying to get rich. I was never trying to get ahead at all costs. I really enjoyed that soldiering, the heroism, the stories that I was brought up on in the Second World War. You know, I believed them. I never stopped believing in them. And the idea that our democracies have become so perverted and run by the very worst type of people who wouldn't make any sacrifice, who wouldn't sacrifice their lunch allowance for some high-minded principles. I find that very disturbing, and I find it a very worthwhile thing to keep fighting so we can put things right. It may be a bit laughable that I played with little dolls and tanks as a young kid and never really stopped it, but we need more people like that, if you ask me, and less people who will do anything to get ahead, say anything, do anything, and don't have the imagination underpinned by superior conduct and superior behaviour and ideals that are worth striving for. We're fighting a new war today. It's not against a country, although the numbers make up about as much as another army, but against an army of cynical, self-serving people who run the governments and the PR agencies and the lobbyists in our own countries and who are strangling us to death. We need to get rid of those people. We can worry about the other countries later, but first we need to fix ourselves. And I think I know just the man to do it. He's been waiting